Detroit changed drastically when the riots broke out on July 23, 1967. Many still have burned out and dilapidated homes that have never been rebuilt.
Well, tonight, Carolyn Clifford revisits one block to see what it was like then and now.
With 5 weeks to go before the 50th anniversary of the 1967 riots, Detroit no doubt still has a lot of rebuilding to do. In tonight's Detroit 2020 report, looking back to look forward, we went to one neighborhood destroyed by the riots then, but where families still hold on to hope that a rebirth is still within reach now.
Detroit at one point had 1.8 million people. It's under 700,000.
If Detroit streets could talk, you would hear different tales about what happened then and now, 50 years later.
So people just packed up and left?
Yes.
Wayne County Sheriff Benny Napoleon is a lifelong Detroiter.
What did it look like around here 50 years ago?
It was a very nice working class neighborhood.
In 1967 alone, 67,000 people packed up and left Detroit, and that trend continued.
I think the devastation is so great that most people who don't live here like I have all my life don't really understand how dramatic the decline has been.
This block on Cortlandt, for instance, is a tale of then and now. Manicured homes where families have never moved.
My mom's been in this same house since 1960.
But travel to the end of this block and a different story emerges, one of blight and abandonment. Willie Jackson is 57. Willie lives on the same street the Sheriff Napoleon grew up on. Before the riots, it was vibrant.
What do you remember when the riots broke out?
I just didn't understand what was going on. You know, basically, I thought we was at war.
5 decades later, Willie sits next to a home filled with squatters on one side and a burned out home on the other.
What happened in '67 changed Detroit forever.
Sheriff Napoleon was only 11 when the riots erupted. His family had just returned home from a trip out of town.
We pulled up, there was a tank parked right across the street.
Back then, this was a young Benny's field of baseball dreams.
During the riot, that large field was covered with soldiers.
Now it's filled with overgrown grass and signs of neglect.
So when you walk out here and you look at this old baseball diamond where you used to play, how does it feel?
Painful.
Back then, this area that I walk along with the sheriff had grocery stores, clothing shops, and jewelry stores. Today, Jerry's Pizza is the only business that stood then in 1967 and still stands now.
When we think about then and now, then what's going to be the change maker?
You have to focus on the neighborhoods. Until such time as this city, I love what's happening downtown, Greektown, Courttown, Midtown. Great. But until you take care of the rest of the town, it's not going to be a comeback.
After the riots, thousands of small businesses closed for good and headed for safer areas to reopen. It's been 5 decades, and as you just saw, many neighborhoods and their surrounding business districts are still within ruins, but many hope they will return. Back to you guys.
That hope is powerful. Thank you, Carolyn, for sharing that story.
Thank you, Carolyn.